if the commissioners will make their way back to the dais, we need to convene the meeting. If the commissioners will make their way back to the dais, we do need to convene the meeting. Okay, this is most of us. We're going to call the regular meeting to order. Please turn your cell phones to the vibrating silence or offsetting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an agenda item. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairperson to allow sufficient time for all speakers. We do have more than 20 speakers tonight, so that will be limited to 2 minutes. Speakers shall refrain from abusive, profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of this meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions raised by the board. Tonight's invocation will be led by a pastor that Commissioner Kohler is bringing up.
Hey, Pastor Johnson, if you'd come back up again, I appreciate you being here tonight and giving us a second prayer. Thank you, sir.
Father, we thank you so much for allowing us to be here this evening. Lord, you created all of this, and allowing us to experience what you've created is an honor, and we thank you for the grace that you have poured upon us. Lord, I pray that everything that is said in here would be edifying to you for your glory and for our good. Lord, I pray that we would use kind speech, not hateful speech, that again we could glorify you in all that we do. Thank you for leadership. Lord, leadership is not an easy task. Lord, I pray that you would lead, guide, and direct them to do things that honor you. And Father, I pray that all of us would be able to proclaim that Christ is King. Lord, it says in your scriptures that every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. And Lord, it is my prayer that everyone in this room would confess you on this side before the other side. And Father, again, we thank you for your grace. And we thank you for the cross that your Son, Jesus Christ, died on and resurrected 3 days later and promised to come get your church. And Lord, in the meantime, Lord, I pray that we would be about your work in making disciples of all nations. And we pray this in the name of Jesus. And everyone said, amen.
Please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point, are there any items to be added to the agenda, Commissioner Kohler?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Berry?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner May absent. Commissioner Strohberger?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? 4-0 with Commissioner May absent. Thank you. We will move on to the Commissioner's forum. Commissioner Kohler.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And for anyone that's still in the room, we have a lot of things I want to discuss here over the next few minutes. First, I want to take a moment to apologize for my role in public conflict between myself and Representative Salzman. While it doesn't excuse my comment, I want to provide the context that motivated me to make the statement. About 2 weeks ago, I was informed by multiple representatives in the Florida House that Representative Salzman had become angry after discovering the House had funded the South Navy Boulevard Improvement Project in its budget. Multiple legislators confirmed that Salzman is actively working to cut the funding, even now, and tell me that she wants to cut it because some personal animosity she has towards me. As a public servant, I reached out to her privately and was disappointed by her action. She denied what she was doing and lied about her actions in Tallahassee. My hope was simply to hash out our differences so that we could work together towards the benefit of the county. I was frustrated when Representative Salzman indicated that she had no desire to focus on the best of our county. I let my frustration get the better of me. I never interact with another public servant who lied to my face repeatedly before, especially about a project like this that supports our base and our veterans. I want to thank the representatives in Florida House who funded the project and believe it is important. Every veteran being laid to rest at Barrancas travels that road, and it's important to me and our community to honor their sacrifice. I also want to thank Congressman Petronas for his support on the project as well, including obtaining the funding in the federal budget. I bear no ill will towards Representative Salzman and hope she can forgive me for my comment. While I have been assured by senators and representatives that we do not need her support or like this project for it to be funded, my hope that she will stop opposing it in Tallahassee and support what's best for our county. As a fellow veteran, I would love to celebrate this win together. All right, the second thing, I'm moving on. As you may or may not know, I want to thank all the Santa Rosa Commission, UWF, the Chamber in Northwest Florida, our board, Senator Moody, and Congressman Petronas. As you know, the Coast Guard was announced this week that it'll be going to Birmingham on Monday. Unfortunate for us, we're still got a lot of Coast Guard stuff that will be happening on the base with the $30 million to the port, but I appreciate all the hard work that was done so that we could, try to get it. I found out last week before it came out today that we weren't going to get it. So you do what you can. I looked back at last meeting and wanted to provide an update for the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition visit and highlight, I think it's been out there, the $12 million that was appropriated for the hangar. We still need additional funding, but that came in the 25 budget thanks to Congressman Petronas, Congressman Elsley, Congressman Dunn, Congressman Carter, Congressman Franken, and the support of both of our senators, Scott and Moody. And this funding was requested, as I mentioned, in February 25 visit. Our visit this last time was very informative. We've asked for several things in both counties, and I think we'll see some good results next year. I received a document, I saw the document that came out this last week from the Save Our Beaches. I read it, and I heard what happened this last week, and I respectfully hope the condo owners will review and give a response. I believe it's a good first step. I don't know who will lead on that, Commissioner Stroberger, if that's you, or Keith Wilkins, or Tim Day, but I'm optimistic that we can get to something here shortly. On a different topic this last week, Congressman Petronas reached out to me and asked me to get him some, which is related indirectly, some data on the National Johnson's Beach. And thank you, Dorothy, for putting that together very quickly for us. When you did, we sent it up to Jack, and I talked to him this morning, and they are working to come up with some sort of daily rate, and I will know more in the very near future. I want to congratulate all the awardees from the Escambia County Fire Rescue Recognition on February 21st. Sue Strawn did an awesome job, as always, as the MC. Fire Chief Harrison deserves a big shout out for all the hard work he put as well. And great job to everyone that was recognized for heroism and gallantry in the line of duty. Last two things, I want to say happy birthday to my dad. He turned 82 yesterday. He's had some health problems. And I want to tell my wife I love her so much, and thank you for staying with me, babe. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Berry?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd like to thank the administration and the Veterans Service Office. Today, they were in Molino providing some services to veterans in District 5, and I want to let administration, certainly Ms. West this evening, but with Debbie Bowers sitting on the administrator, IT administrator Debbie Bowers sitting on the dais with us. I want to thank her for having them out in District 5 providing those services. Also want to congratulate the University of West Florida. They recently received a $2 million grant for a 6-year STEM enhancement program, which is which is fantastic. Obviously, that's the way that the world is going, and I love to see. Certainly, I think it's appropriate to say our university. So I love to see our university having additional outside money come in to aid that post-secondary education that's going on out there. Also want to thank FDOT District 3 and District 3 Secretary Tim Smith. There's a project starting in just a few weeks, a nearly $15 million project that's going to really enhance Highway 97, which is the commonly referred to as the Atmore cutoff between Molino at the red light and the state line at Atmore. That's it's a much needed project, and it's going to do a lot of good. That's a very heavily traveled road, and I want to thank District Secretary Smith as well as Secretary Perdue for allocating those monies and getting that going. it's, we have an ability sitting on the TPO to direct, to direct a lot of, FHWA funds that come through DOT and DOT funds directly. And then there are also things that, kind of go direct from DOT to just to us and our constituents, and I want to thank them for that. And I couldn't read my note. Perhaps I should type them out. That says,
Start typing them out.
I should type them out, I guess. So that says
Let AI do them.
DOT District 3. I was having to reread the DOT District 3. Oh, there was an additional note. ESA South, which is they're one of our tenants in the Central Commerce Park in Cantonment. They were recognized recently as one of the top 200 companies. One of the top 200 companies by Business Insider and Business World. I know they do a lot of defense, do a lot of federal and defense contracting and those kind of things, and I want to thank them for their, high wage employment of my constituents and their capital that they've put on the ground in District 5. We appreciate them. They were one of the first large tenants in the Central Commerce Park, and one of the things that wouldn't necessarily have been mentioned at our board, but it is full, that first phase of the Central Commerce Park, and we are moving forward with a master plan on another 150 acres to move into the phase 2 of that. And I don't know that we would be where we are in the Central Commerce Park project without the partnership with ESA South over the last 15, 18 years. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to publicly, Madam Chair, thank you for your leadership. Regardless, I often say we don't necessarily have to all agree on every issue, but when there's someone who takes bold leadership, I'm certainly going to recognize them, and thank you for your leadership as a chairperson. I certainly appreciate it. And with that in mind, I see that I was in Washington, D.C. With Commissioner Stroberger as we were at NACO, and I think the most crowded session that I attended was property taxes. And so not only is that being talked about in the state of Florida with the House bill and recognizing that there may be a companion bill in the Senate that doesn't necessarily look like that, that's a big issue as session comes to end around March 13th. And so I hope that we're all paying attention to how critical that is. But with that being said, I had the opportunity through NOBCO to go and look at redistricting, and there's a few people that are here today that helped out with redistricting. I remember as a young man, I was here, and Jesse Jackson came to Pensacola, and we mourned with his family, but Dr. Joyce Hobson, Dr. Joyce Longmire introduced me at Greater Union Baptist Church to Jesse Jackson when I was a very young person. That inspired me to want to be into community service, and we're certainly sharing the death of his family, and we thank God that we had someone like Dr. Hobson who brought us in that room, and we would forever appreciate that. And when we talk about redistricting, there are two people here tonight, Clifford Stokes, who was a part of the federal lawsuit that helped to get a minority-majority district, and without that, there probably would not be the representation that we have, and that continued fight. Dr. Lady Sampson, who I call the president, former president of NAACP, for her continued fight for equality and for justice, and recognizing that diversity, equity is not a bad word. Inclusion is a good word. So Dr. Elatus, thank you for your service. Dr. Stokes, thank you for your service, and Dr. Hobson, thank you so much for your service, because without you, I wouldn't be here to serve today. So I certainly appreciate that, and as well as Derek Scott, our leader of the local Democratic Party throughout this state. In the last 8-9 months, you have traveled these streets, these roads, and these highways, fighting without compensation to make sure that laws are just for everyone. So Derek, we certainly appreciate you doing that. With that being said, we're excited. Obviously next week on March 10th, David Jolly will be in town, and I know Derek and his team will probably be engaged, and we're excited. We are glad to welcome throughout the Southeast and in the northern region to the Sun Belt basketball tournament. It's very rare that you get that quality of basketball in Northwest Florida. We're here with the Sun Belt basketball tournament with some of the best basketball ever, and we are on ESPN. We are being seen nationally as a place, whether it be soccer, Commissioner Berry, or whether it be basketball and tennis. We are quickly becoming a region where people want to come and utilize sports tourism as an opportunity
to visit. So we appreciate that. And to the Pensacola Sports Association, it's very rare that a person or a coach can be in a room with NFL players and Olympic stars that they personally coach. And so Devin Weatherspoon, Super Bowl champion Doug Baldwin, Super Bowl champion Jeremy Reeves, Super Bowl champion Justin Gatlin, Olympic champion, who are all young men who participated in the program that I coach. I had the opportunity to be with them at the Pensacola Sports Association banquet, where they were honored, as well as Ray Palmer for his service, Pensacola Sports Association. So it was a great week, and as we move forward, Washington High School girls basketball will be traveling to Jacksonville on next Friday. They need our support. I often say these young ladies don't get a lot. I try to sponsor them when we can because they are marketing Pensacola across this state, and we should not take it for granted that these young ladies work hard, and when they are traveling, they, just as we're marketing billboards and television, when they leave this town and get on a bus and go to different cities to represent us in state championships, they're representing Pensacola to Coach Jade Brown. Congratulations to the Washington Wildcat ladies basketball team, who will be this Friday in Jacksonville participating in the state tournament, as well as this week UWF will be playing, and hopefully they win, and we will be hosting the basketball game this Sunday at 1 o'clock if we win tomorrow. UWF Argos, Commissioner Berry and I are both former Argos. The Argos will be hosting the semifinals this coming Sunday at the University of West Florida. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Sturberger?
Evening, everybody. I want to remind everybody that Dining for Disaster, that's a Red Cross event that's happening on March 26th. I think that's our next meeting. That's when we have local restaurants participating, and they're given approximately 10% of their revenue for that day to the Red Cross, and that money is used back in our community. So remember that. There'll be billboards going up soon also, so to remind you where to go. Thank you. Is LaTanya Wesley here? LaTanya? Raise your hand. Where you at? Hi, LaTanya. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, LaTanya.
Okay. Next thing is, I went to the Top Gun Gala on Friday. I think it was last Friday. Quint Studer was the guest speaker, and he asked everyone to discuss who their mentor was. In a military career like mine, I don't think I could say that there was just one person that was my mentor. I've had many mentors throughout all the stages of my life, but only for a short time. They may not even have known that they were mentors of mine. I was just another student or a junior officer. When I started flight school, my on-wing was my mentor. He was Lieutenant Commander Reeves. The air boss on the Iwo Jima, when it was commissioned here, that was then Commander Sickmeyer, then later Captain Sickmeyer. He was my mentor. I was his Air Department mini-boss. Captain Bagby, he was one of my many commanding officers. We used to have lots of Steve to Steve talks. My first OIC on my H-2P cruise at that time was Lieutenant Commander Snyder, later to become Vice Admiral Snyder. And of course, there's my dad. He was a mentor of mine. But someone who probably would not consider herself one of my mentors, the one person who has helped me and guided me my entire life, has been my wife, Gina. With Gina's support, while in the Marine Corps, I was able to finish college in 3 years. Then I came here to Aviation Officers Candidate School as a Marine Sergeant with 3 kids. I went to flight school, and by the time I got to my first operational squadron, we had 5 kids. That's a hell of a way to go to flight school. It was a fire hose. I think just 5 days after getting to the squadron, I was already doing workups for deployment. So Gina was home with 5 kids a lot. It wasn't easy for either of us, but it was made easier with Gina. She's always been my North Star. Thank you, honey. She's my mentor. Commissioner Hoffberger and myself, we attended the Admirals Club luncheon last week, and we had the pleasure of hearing from the Commander of Naval Education and Training Command, CNET, Admiral Huffman, the guest speaker. He was the guest speaker. CNET is the Navy's largest shore command, and he began by saying the Navy recruited last year 44,000 sailors. We haven't recruited that many sailors in 40 years. And the Navy's on track to recruit 45,000 this year, so that's spectacular. He also talked about how we can't just have the best equipment. The Navy has to have technical masters. We already have the best technology and the best equipment. The key point is we already have technical masters in the fleet. They're in every rating. They're the ones that we call when things break, when inspections are coming, when the mission is on the line, we call these technical masters. But if we're serious about readiness, and not just in the Navy, we must quantify mastery, not just assume it. The thing that applies here is, or the same thing applies here in the county too. We know who our technical masters are here at the county. They're sitting over there on that side of the room. In the next few years, I think we're going to be losing some of these technical masters. Commissioner May and Barry know better than I do what it's going to be like to lose some of these masters that we have over there. I guess I bring this up just to say thank you to Joy, Chip, Jamie, Wes, Allison, and the rest of the county's technical masters. Thank you very much. I'm not done yet. I wanted to read this statement that I'd written about the strikes in Iran. And it's kind of related to the technical masters talking point. The recent strikes on Iran reflect what happens when a military combines superior technology and disciplined tactics and relentless training. History proves the point. Has anyone heard of Operation Mole Cricket 19? Look that up. Big deal. Israel demonstrated how, this was back in June of 1982. I remember we had just come back from the Philippines, my family, my father when he was stationed there. Israel demonstrated how integrated air power, electronic warfare, intelligence fusion, and pilot proficiency can dismantle a numerically significant adversary in hours. Syrian forces at the time were equipped with advanced Soviet systems and supported by Soviet-aligned pilots, yet superior doctrine and training prevailed. Israeli forces leveraged U.S. technology effectively because they had mastered it. Technology alone does not win wars, competency does. I've seen the contrast firsthand. While working with the Egyptian Air Force and the Egyptian Navy, I've deployed with them to teach small deck operations, anti-submarine warfare, and over-the-horizon targeting. Their deployments were no longer than 7 days. That's all they would do, 7 days. When not at sea, rotor aircraft were limited to pattern work at the home base. Night operations were rare. IFR proficiency was non-existent. Aircraft generally did not operate outside the tightly constrained local area. This is not a criticism. This is an observation about training culture and operational standards. By contrast, the U.S. and allied forces, we train globally. At night, in weather, across all domains, we integrate air, sea, cyber, and space. We operate with decentralized initiative and mission command. The United States is the only true blue water Navy. And that's because they can sustain and maintain combat logistics without any allied support. We're the only ones that can do that. That's just not the Navy. That includes the Marine Corps. Our Air Force and Army are also have full spectrum dominance. Our air superiority and ground dominance is also unmatched. The advantage comes from being a free society that empowers innovation, initiative, and merit. One of our persistent challenges, and it'll always be this way, maybe after we get a new president, we'll go backwards in this, is the self-imposed rules of engagement that sometimes place our service members at risk. We often fight with legal, political, and media constraints that adversaries don't have to share. That restraint reflects our values, but it must never become an operational self-deterrence. Our adversaries cannot replicate our culture of innovation and decentralized leadership. They cannot match our training pipelines. They frequently rely on stolen technology, reverse engineering systems, proxy forces to attempt parity. And when they cannot compete kinetically, They instead rely on psychological operations, attempting to fracture domestic support and convince Americans that their own country is the problem. That's when the protesters mobilize, make signs, buy T-shirts. Information warfare is now as essential as air superiority. I say this because we just kicked the heck out of Iran. And I mean, look at the war that we've got going on in Ukraine with the Russians. No one believes that they are a world power. And we really are the only ones that are. So I say this because I want you guys to have confidence in your military, be proud of our military and what they did and what we can do when we take the gloves off and we don't put sailors, Marines, and airmen, soldiers' lives at risk by tying their hands. Okay, one more thing. Eric or Paul, whatever your name is, I talked about a book that I had that was given by my wife. It was called The Next Conversation. It's written by a lawyer. It's about getting to the next conversation. It's about having discussions without having to try to win arguments. You don't win arguments, you just try to move them along. You move the discussion along. At the front of the book, there's a quote. It's called "We Just Disagree." It's a song by Dave Mason. I just disagree. Trust me, I just disagree. So I can continue that way, but when you say 75 feet of your property, I'm going to take it away, that's not a starting point. That's not a compromise. So I just want to say that. The last thing I want to say is I want to express my support for Commissioner Hofberger. So I want to say this about what I've heard people talk about freedom of speech. We all believe in freedom of speech up here. But this public forum is a limited public forum. The board welcomes public participation and it protects the right to express their views. However, this isn't a sidewalk. Disruptive conduct, including gestures, and we've seen those, noises or actions intended to intimidate, harass, or interfere with another speaker, or the orderly conduct of this board in this meeting, it's never permitted. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. Since it's been brought up, I do want to say a few things about Michelle Salzman. She has funded and supported every single public safety request we have sent her. All of the new technology, all of the new equipment, and even $1 million for a new fire training facility. Thank you for putting our first responders first and for your support in providing life-saving funding for our community. I do want to drive that home that I appreciate that and I am thankful for that. And when someone calls 911, they are thankful for those things. Those are items that we could not have funded alone in this county, and I appreciate it. I am often asked, so you've been in here for 1.5 years, how do you like it? And I always respond with, oh my God, I love it. And I do. I love that we have increased pay for our firefighters. I love that we are building new fire stations. I love that we have better pre-hospital care. And I love that we have a better, more responsive EMS service. I love that we are investing tourism dollars in new ball fields on 9 Mile Road to create an entirely new tourism vertical for our community. I love that Stefan showed up in my office today with a ream full of paper for budget work so we can radically reevaluate how we do our budget this year. I love all of these things, and I believe that our community loves them too. These are good governance, and it shows what we can do when we actually work together. So despite the chaos that ensued in public forum, I still believe that we can do amazing things when we do the right thing. All you can do is make the next best right decision. So in that spirit, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for doing what you believe is the next right thing. We have proclamations next. Do we have a motion to adopt the proclamations? All in favor? 5-0, thank you. Our first proclamation is our Employee of the Month. That will be presented by Joy Blackman.
Where'd you go? You got it. Good evening. This is China Watson Ball. Let me present this award to Ms. Ball. I wanted to first paraphrase the proclamation that we're presenting to her. But if I could, on a personal note, when I first met China in our interview process, I was caught by the fact that she was one of those folks that you need for the go-getter kind of attitude. She was the one that wanted to take on a challenge, and I had a good challenge for her. I really did. And the challenge we handed China right off the bat was Procore. Procore, as you've seen, is our project management software. China took it from a box that they gave us, if you'll let me paraphrase that way, or emulate that. It's basically was in a box, and she took it out of the box and she actually put this puzzle together. And it wasn't a simple thing. She's put many hours in that and a lot of expert training as well. Now I just have to hope I can hang on to her. But truthfully, the background that China brought to us with professional development and educational experience was a tremendous part of that process. So we really wanted to recognize her for that tonight. Also, it's not just that. Those are part of the project management world that she's in, but she's also managing projects. So she's doing a little bit of everything, and we really thank you. She's also active in her community. The Washington High School Auxiliary Program, Cabot Heights Group Home, Leadership 500, and the one I need to hear more about, the director of the Golden Girls Dance Group, Hearst Chapel AME. I need to hear a little more about that. So I present to you tonight Ms. China Watson Ball, and to Ms. Watson Ball's proclamation on behalf of our Board of County Commissioners. We want to thank you for being such a positive impact and a vital member of our family in engineering, and we're blessed to have you. Thank you. Now, this is more important.
Good evening. First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. My heartfelt gratitude goes to my family that's here today, my friends, my colleagues, and to all of you who sit on the dais. I am truly honored to be named the Employee of the Month for Escambia County. I am sincerely grateful for this acknowledgement. As a project engineering coordinator and the Procore administrator, I've had the privilege of coordinating projects that enhance our roads, our drainage systems, parks, and public spaces. It is in deep reward to contribute to the growth and resilience and the well-being of our county. And again, I thank you.
All the family, come on. Work family, all family.
Mama Joyce? I see you over there, come on.
She in that dance group?
No, this one is.
You're fine. I'll flip it to you.
Come on, you can help. I've been in your house too, come on. Yes, ma'am.
Come on, we'll make room.
I've been with Faye in your house too, come on.
That's it. Now,
Is there anybody else? Will there be one? Will there be one more? Can we get one more?
All right, everybody look right here. All right, 1, 2, 3.
I had my eyes closed. Kidding. That's a bonus.
Thank you.
You betcha. You're well deserved, darling. Thank you.
Congratulations, it is well-deserved. Our next proclamation is for Gulf Coast Well Day, so I will be presenting that. I'm not as good as Joy is at paraphrasing, but I will read quickly. Whereas Escambia County wishes to be a responsible steward of the coastal environment and marine biodiversity both within our jurisdiction and beyond, and whereas local residents and visitors to Escambia County cherish the natural beauty and the wildlife found in and around the Gulf of America/Mexico, including shorebirds, sea turtles, manatees, whales, and whereas staff from Escambia County's Natural Resource Management Department work every day to protect that natural beauty and local wildlife and support active research, conservation measures, and public education to protect whales and other marine life in the Gulf. And whereas there are around 17 species of whales that live in the Gulf year-round and swim offshore from Escambia County, including various examples of toothed whales, beaked whales, and baleen whales, with more commonly known species including sperm whales, killer whales, melonhead whales, and pygmy sperm whales. And whereas among these marine mammals in the Gulf, one of the most endangered whale species in the world, the rice whale, is a unique great whale found only in the Gulf with a population of fewer than 100 individuals. And whereas rice whales have lived in the Gulf for approximately 3 million years and are known to spend most of their time near the ocean surface, where they are especially vulnerable to human threats such as oil spills, ship strikes, plastic pollutions, and blasting from offshore drilling activities. And whereas around the world, the port, shipping, and fishing industries are taking actions to slow down and watch for whales in areas where they are present, and whereas rice whales contribute to the Gulf's ecological health through their role in nutrition cycle and ocean productivity, are a symbol of our region's rich and fragile marine heritage. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, hereby declare March 7th, 2026 as Gulf Coast Whale Day. The Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Commissioner Ashley Hoffberger, Commissioner Steve Stroberger, Commissioner Mike Kohler, Commissioner Lumen May, and Commissioner Stephen Barry. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you want to say something?
Not really.
No?
Not really. I don't
Okay,
really
awesome.
need to. I don't really. I'll just say, yes, we do have whales in the Gulf. That's what people ask.
Yes.
And yes, we have whales.
Yes.
17 species.
Yes.
Can I get a couple
Thank you.
of y'all on this side also? We'll just a couple of y'all on the other side, Commissioner Hoffberger.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, yeah, for doing this, for reading all of that.
Yes.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks again. Yeah.
reading so fast.
Thank you.
The next proclamation will be Red Cross Month, presented by Commissioner Stroberger.
How you doing? Good to see you again.
Thanks for being here. Is there someone else here with us? No. She didn't come? Okay. All right. So I think everybody knows how important Red Cross is to this community. And we did this last year, and we're going to do this every year because the Red Cross is so important to, I don't know, to everything. I mean, the things that we do and the way we can live. So, and then I'm a board member of the Red Cross, so I believe that too, because I'm one of those guys. Escambia County Proclamation. Whereas in March, we celebrate Red Cross Month by honoring neighbors who make its humanitarian mission possible at Escambia County by bringing relief, comfort, and hope when help cannot wait through their acts of kindness. This compassionate spirit runs deep in our community, just as it has for 145 years through the American Red Cross. And whereas today, those who serve the Northwest Florida chapter light the way during emergencies, whether it's delivering shelter, food, and comfort after disasters, providing life-saving blood supplies for patients facing conditions like cancer treatments, childbirth complications, and traumatic injuries, assisting military members, veterans, and their families with 24/7 global support, or empowering individuals with skills like first aid and CPR. And whereas these collective efforts are powerful reminders that the strength of our community lies in our shared commitment to one another, and whereas we mark Red Cross Month Let us celebrate our local heroes and resolve to continue lifting each other up. No one faces an emergency alone. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, does hereby declare March 2026 as Red Cross Month and encourages the citizens of Escambia County to reach out and support this humanitarian mission and join in their commitment to care for one another. Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, signed Ashley M. Hoffberger, Chair, District 4, Steve Strober, Vice Chair, District 1, Michael S. Kohler, District 2, Lumen J. May, District 3, Stephen Barry, District 5. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. You want to say a few words?
On behalf of our Executive Director, Terry Jenkins, in her absence today, Steve and I serve on the board together, so we thank you for your support of our local chapter of the American Red Cross. Thank you.
Ms. Wesley, if you can talk to your husband and keep his sermons this short, I'll be at church Sunday. Madam Chair, LaTanya, I just want to publicly thank you for the work that you at Red Cross, and not only that, all the work that you and Pastor Lonnie Wesley do within District 3 at Greater Little Rock. I mean, right in the heart by Addis Court. The ministry that you both have is just awesome for our community, and I want to publicly thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is a presentation. It's the recommendation concerning the selection of the Library Services Director. We do have 24 speakers on this. So our first speaker is going to be Megan Guntner, and then after Megan will be Christopher Lewis. So Megan, if you want to make your way to the podium. Calling once for Megan. Christopher Lewis, if you'll come up. Okay, after Christopher Lewis, Joe Vinson.
I'm CJ Lewis. Since November 17th, I've been attending the library board meetings, and I kind of stumbled into the library selection process. And I'd like to publicly acknowledge and thank the members of the library board for all the hard work that they've done. I think it was one of the fairest processes that I've ever seen to include anything during my military career. I also want to emphasize that Human Resources published a job notice that had minimum qualification requirements. And Crystal Bell Rivera, who's being recommended, does not meet any of them. And I think if you vote to approve this, you're sending a very bad signal. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Joe Vinson, and then after Joe will be Lynn Tobin.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Joe Vinson, 1503 East Jackson Street. I'm here to urge you to reject the Administrator's recommendation for Library Director as the husband of candidate Bradley Vinson. I'm obviously not an unbiased party, but I am a proponent of honest, open government. I was taught that everyone in public service has the duty to avoid even the appearance of impropriety, and this process fails the sniff test in many ways. For starters, the county's own job description gives the minimum qualification requirements for the director position, a master's degree in library science, and at least 7 years of professional public library experience. Ms. Bell Rivera has neither. I'm also alarmed at how the Administrator's Office has ignored the Library Board of Governance's role in selecting a director. When the county took over the library in 2013, BOCC Resolution 2013-17 charged the Board of Governance with the, quote, administration and operation of the West Florida Public Library System, including the power to recommend a director to the county administrator. While the administrator can accept or reject that recommendation, there is no mechanism in the resolution authorizing him to bypass the board entirely and put forward someone they did not recommend. Beyond the question of legality, it's a sign of disrespect to the citizen volunteers who gave their time in good faith for a process the Administrator's Office, it's clear now, never intended to honor. In any other department, this wouldn't be tolerated. This board would never consider hiring a county attorney who is still in law school. Standard processes exist because it is in the public's interest to ensure merit-based hiring. When these standards are discarded, it is a red flag that hiring is being based not on merit and qualifications, but on personal connections. That is the most obvious explanation for what's happening in here, and I think everyone in this chamber knows it. That kind of hiring is the definition of cronyism, and it is the clearest indicator of a government that does not have the public's interest at heart. I ask you today to reject the county administrator's choice and restore integrity and trust to this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lynn Tobin, and after Lynn will be Daniel Cobb. So Lynn, you're up, and Daniel Cobb, you'll be next.
That was a tough act to follow. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me a few minutes to speak on the issue of the selection of a new library director. I was a member of the West Florida Public Library Board of Governance from about 2 years after the merger of the city and county libraries until 2018. During that time, our library board wrote the manual for policy guidance as we reviewed what the future library boards would need. We also successfully hired a new library director, Todd Humble. Those board experiences are what brought me to speak to you of my concerns over how the current process was done. As an aside, I am a professional degreed librarian from URI and Catholic University with 30 years of experience in school, university, government, and special libraries, such as NPR, and also now volunteer at the Aviation Museum Library. Navy wives do get around. I do not wish to discuss personalities or politics, but would like to state that I believe the recent hiring process has become invalid based on the failure of the county administrator to follow Chapter 6 of the board's manual and Article 8, Section 1 of the bylaws. I understand that the county attorney has provided a different opinion and interpretation of the process than what was actually written 8 years ago. The Board of Governance manual states that the Board of Governance will provide a recommendation to the county administrator on which applicant to hire. The county administrator will make the offer to the applicant. It does not say that the county administrator may make an offer to an applicant different than the one recommended by the board. The county attorney has written, "It is my opinion that the administrator is legally and solely responsible for the selection."
Thank you so much for your comments. Daniel Cobb, you're next. And Dr. Joyce Hopkins, you will be after Daniel Cobb.
Hello, Daniel Cobb, 9720 Sandpiper Street. I'd like to start off by saying that both of my parents served as teachers for quite a while in this county. My father was a teacher on special assignment. He wrote grants and programs for the county for many decades. My mother was a technology specialist for the county, and she also wrote many, many grants. So I am well aware of the strict guidelines that we have to place ourselves under in order to get that money. And I'm pleased to see that all of you today have expressed great interest in making sure that, you know, the county gets the money that we need in order to operate. And I appreciate that of you all. And so I'm very alarmed by this selection. I'd like to draw your attention to the State Aid to Libraries grant guidelines. This is just one of many issues that we're going to have with this selection. Under Chapter 5, Section D, subsection 2, it states that the single administrative head will have completed a library education program accredited by the American Library Association and shall have at least 2 years of full-time paid professional experience after completing the library education program in a public library that is open to the public for a minimum of 40 hours a week. We fail that minimum guideline. That means we will be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in our grant money. My question for you all is that should you proceed forward with this recommendation, what is the plan for that money? Is it that we simply lose it and that the county now has to suffer with less funds? Is it that you're going to raise our taxes again in order to provide more of that? I would love to hear that answer from you all. And honestly, my parents understood, and I think you all understood, that these kinds of jobs require sacrifice. They require being aware of the limits. And I believe that if Ms. Bell Rivera had the interest of a servant at heart, she would step down.
Thank you for your comments. Joyce Hobson. Thank you, Doctor. And Blaine Wall will be next.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Joyce Hobson, 10479 Millbrook Drive, Pensacola, Florida, 32534. I come to you today as a concerned citizen, a retired professor, 38 years, a member of the West Florida Public Library Board of Governors. First, I want to thank you for your listening ears. Each of my colleagues and I have sacrificed, studied, and devoted time to the following rules of fulfilling this position. And we all came to the same agreement on which candidate was the most qualified with their answer to their interview, in person and Zoom, educational background, leadership skill to lead, and professional experience as a library director. The question was asked, how a deputy director does not have qualification as a library director. I'm very disappointed, and I feel disrespected, because on the board you have librarian, 25 years plus, you have a lawyer, you have 2 PhDs on the board. And we was not included, our recommendation, the board recommendation was not a decision-making process. This has raised concern about the transparency and fairness of the selection-making process.
Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate your comments. Blaine Wall, you're up, and Julie Patton, you will be after Blaine.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Blaine Wall, 685 Aragon Street. I serve as chair of the Library Board of Governance currently. I echo what my colleague, Dr. Hobson, just shared. When the board discovered that there would be an opening for library director, we approached the opening very seriously. We studied our bylaws incidentally signed off on by lawyers for the commission, and we made sure that we were following the process outlined in those bylaws. We reviewed applicants, we conducted interviews, we carefully evaluated qualifications and leadership experience, and through that process, we all unanimously decided that Bradley Vinson was most qualified for the position. As you've heard, she serves currently as a coordinator of media for Escambia County School District, essentially the district's equivalent of library director. She previously worked at the West Florida Public Libraries for many years and served 2 stints on the Board of Governance. We believe that her training, her leadership experience, her institutional knowledge made her exceptionally well prepared to lead the system. That recommendation, however, was set aside by the county administrator. Instead, the candidate put forward by the county does not yet have a master's degree and has 3 years of library experience, none of which as a librarian. As was referenced, Statute 257.17 governs public library operating grants, requiring directors hold a master's degree and several years professional leadership after degree conferral. That exists because the legislature expects libraries to be led by qualified professional librarians. And so a simple question is raised then. Was the search conducted to identify the most qualified leader, or was it simply to confirm a decision made long ago? Because the public deserves to know that leadership positions in this community are filled based on qualifications and service, not connections and proximity to power.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Julie Patton. And after Julie will be Lily Eubanks.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of Bradley Vinson. I'm Julie Patton from 612 Gerhardt Drive in Pensacola. And I want to say about Bradley that she is one of the fairest and most unbiased people I've ever met. She goes quietly and competently about her business without sharing her personal politics and beliefs, even in the midst of contentious issues like the banned book controversy in the school system. I'd like to also suggest that she's one of the technical masters that Mr. Stroberger referenced earlier. She is just one of the few experts in our county who is really good at what she does and perfectly qualified by training and by personality to fill this job. She also clearly loves books and is well trained in how to manage them and to assist learners in finding the materials they need. This effort to confirm someone whose training and experience are in highway safety is not supported by the process designed to choose library directors. It's eerily similar to the assaults on the University of West Florida and Pensacola State College boards. It also concerns disturbing elements of the attacks on our school libraries. All of this overreach by Mr. Marino is ironically self-defeating, as the groups pursuing their partisan actions in our institutes of learning are in imminent danger of flipping Escambia County blue, which I don't think is the desired outcome. But it's already happened in our last election with one of our candidates. All over the country right now, voters are turning partisan candidates and their enablers
Lily Eubanks.
out of office.
Ma'am, thank you. Lily. And after Lily will be Jennifer Iannuzzi.
I'm going to continue talking about professionalism. When Mr. Marino assured the Library Board of Governors that the county would work collaboratively with the board to ensure that the best candidate would be selected, the board believed Mr. Marino and were glad that he was being so professional. For those of you who don't know, the process of selection of the Director of Library Sciences is that the knowledgeable Board of Governors does all the work of searching, interviewing, and selecting the director. Then they send that name to the county administrator, Mr. Marino, for his approval and subsequent vote by the county commissioners. You guys up here make the final decision. After all their hard work, it was no problem for the Board of Governors to unanimously select Bradley Vinson for the job, based on her having a master's degree in library science and her 15 years working in the West Florida Public Library System and 7 years working for the Escambia School District, with many of those years being in an administrative position. She was the best candidate for the job, which is what they said they would do. However, despite his promise of support for the Board of Governors, Mr. Marino believes that another, less qualified person should have the job. This is even though Mr. Marino knows that his candidate does not even have a master's degree in library sciences. This is very unprofessional behavior, given the fact that according to Florida law, if the head of the library doesn't meet the qualifications, our library will not be eligible for hundreds of thousands of dollars in state grant money. It seems to me to be a very serious issue.
Thank you so much for your comments. Jennifer, you're up next. And
Madam Chair.
Sir.
Alex, can you clarify that? I've heard that multiple times. Are we at risk of being ineligible for any grants?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking we don't pay you, Liv. We do pay her, though, to give legal opinion. So I'm going to ask her for a paid legal opinion.
Somebody else may need to verify the current status of the situation, but my understanding is that as the interim director, that Ms. Rivera did get a waiver from the state library system for the year in which she is serving as interim. I believe...
And my question...
yes, I do believe it's possible.
Pretty simply,
yes, I do believe
Are we eligible of losing grant money
I do
based on
believe
the
it is
recommendation of this
possible
hire?
because I believe, and I'm not sure, but I thought that she actually was awarded her MLS over December Christmas break. So she would still need 2 years of service beyond that in order to qualify under the state statutory requirement to qualify for the grants. There is a waiver that was given some months ago for this time while this particular person is serving as interim.
Allison, I think Debbie has some information on that too.
Perfect.
Okay, well, won't Debbie answer it, Debbie?
Yes, we talked to the Florida Division of Library and Information Services at the state. It does not have to be the director. It has to be an individual within the library system, and they said absolutely that we could still get the grants, which represent 0.8% of our budget, but we are not in jeopardy of losing them. We're still.
So we'll still get the grant, so you're
Yes.
on record. So we're not in jeopardy at all of losing the grant?
No.
Okay, I wanted to hear that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Debbie. We appreciate you both. Commissioner May, any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, sir. Jennifer, you're next, and after Jennifer will be Diedrich Scott.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your continued support of our West Florida Public Libraries. As the county moves forward in selecting the next library director, I want to emphasize the importance of ensuring the person chosen meets professional qualifications established for the role. The State Aid to Libraries grant application requires certification that the director has completed a library education program accredited by the American Library Association and has at least 2 years of full-time professional experience after earning that degree. Escambia County's own job description sets an even higher bar, and we should have a higher standard. A degree in library science from the American Library Association, accredited university, 7 years of professional public library experience, at least 5 years in managerial or administrative leadership roles. These standards exist for a reason. Public libraries are complex institutions. They manage significant public resources, professional staff, and critical community services. We would not hire a county engineer without an engineering degree or a county attorney without a law degree. In the same way, a public library system deserves leadership grounded in the professional education and significant experience of the library field. We should not waive professional preparation for positions entrusted with public infrastructure or public funds. While job descriptions sometimes mention combinations of education or experience, in this case, there is no true substitute for the professional preparation these qualifications represent. Libraries are one of our community's most trusted public institutions. Protecting that trust begins with qualified leadership. Ask for more than an unqualified candidate. Make the next best right decision. Thank you for your time.
Diedrich. And Misha Phillips will be next.
I just want to clear up something because you just said that you're not in jeopardy. I just want to read from the Florida State Statutes, Chapter 257.17. It says that under grant guidelines, or public library system receiving state aid must meet certain professional standards for the single administrative head of the library system. Those standards require the library system be operated under a single administrative head, which is the library director. This person must have completed a library education program accredited by the American Library Association and must have at least 2 years of full-time professional library experience after completing that program. This effectively means that the person typically holds the Master of Library and Information Science from an ALA accredited program because that's professional standards. If not, they lose eligibility for state aid funding. That's what it says, so just to be clear. Today, I want to rise with serious concern on the recommendation upon you before the regarding the Director of Library Services, as well as the transparency happening. The selection committee made up of the Board of Governors alongside county officials unanimously recommended Bradley Vinson for this role. That unanimous recommendation should carry significant weight. When their work is disregarded, it raises an important question. Why has Why have a selection committee at all if their professional judgment can simply be set aside? Ms. Vinson's career as a library professional holds a master's degree in a library and information science, which is widely recognized across the country as a standard for credential and leadership in public library system. Her education, training, and professional experience align directly with the responsibilities of managing a countywide library system. For years, we have heard some of you talk about maintaining a system based on merit, qualification, and expertise.
Thank you, sir.
This
We
is your time
appreciate
to
your
uphold
comments.
those
Misha
principles and apply
Phillips,
them
you're
across
next.
as well.
Misha, if you'll go on and come up. And then Cindy Perdue, you'll be after Misha.
Hello, my name's Misha. I live at 5881 Pilgrim Trail West in Molino, Florida. I've lived in Escambia County since I was 5 years old, and I am a tax-paying homeowner. My wife and I love to take our 3-year-old son to the library from Century to Spring Street. I don't know Bradley or Crystal entirely well, but I have had experience with both of them. On a personal level, when I met Crystal, she seemed very forced, fake, and flat. Contrast that with my encounters with Bradley, who has always come across as warm, competent, and someone who serves her community. On a professional level, Crystal does not have the education or experience to perform this vital role. Her bachelor's degree is in legal administration, and she has not completed her master's. She has less than 4 years of even working in a library and has had very little executive leadership experience. She has ignored multiple reevaluation requests that I have submitted. Contrast that with Bradley's education and experience. She has a master's of library and information science. She has been in libraries for over 20 years with experience in multiple types of library settings. She previously worked for the West Florida Public Library for over a decade and combined various roles. She currently serves as Escambia County School District Coordinator of Media Services, and this is why the BOG unanimously selected her for this position of Library Director. The BOCC created the BOG in 2013 for Pete's sake. We didn't have this problem in 2015. Why is the administration going to such lengths to appoint someone who's so unqualified? We all read Dr. Wall's email, and we know what this is about. The good old boy system in Pensacola and Escambia County and the Greater South must stop. They are doing a disservice to our children, our community, and our library system. This cronyism is cheating Bradley Vinson of a well-deserved position. Stephen Berry, I live in your district. We've run into each other at the library. I know you value the library like I do. I do vote, and I don't forget a thing. You and this entire board have such an easy chance to do the right thing when the county is already beyond fed up with y'all shenanigans.
Cindy Perdue. And Kimberly Carroll, you'll be next.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Burden. I'm a resident, and I'm also a retired librarian from the West Florida Public Libraries. I don't know what else I can say that hasn't already been said. I was totally flabbergasted that the county commissioner would ignore the recommendation from the board and, as has been said, select an unqualified person for this very important decision. I guess I will speak to the fact that I hired Bradley at the public library to be a cataloger after she got her master's degree. She had been working in the circulation department. She was an excellent choice. I grew to know her very well. She's intelligent, competent, thoughtful, and dedicated. And I thoroughly understand why the board selected her as their #1 pick. It's an obvious choice. And it just seems to me that a unanimous decision by the board should be supported by this commission and the county commissioner. Otherwise, it does smell really fishy. And I would, as Ms. Hofberger said, hope that you do the next right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly Carroll. And after Kimberly will be Jennifer Yanzuni.
Hello, Kimberly Carroll, District 1. After the Escambia County Library System made the decision to distance itself from the American Library Association, the very entity that grants Masters of Library Science accreditation, which is acquired for this appointment for library director, I fear the quality of the library continues to be in free fall, not due to its everyday employees who sit behind the desk and work behind the scenes, but by its leadership. Unfortunately, everyday workers are easily silenced, including those who took issue with library space allegedly being used to house a private social club on the second floor of the Brownsville Library. Due to Crystal's connections, as brought forward by previous speakers, it is unsurprising that Crystal Bell Rivera should be shown special treatment in the form of a waiver to make up for her lack of accreditation as a librarian. What I do find surprising is the county's willingness to do the extra work of the waiver when there are easily qualified candidates chosen by the governance board. The ongoing erosion of standards in our library system has been going on long before Crystal's takeover, and I fear it will continue if she is chosen as director. Since her beginning at the library, Crystal has worked to control the narrative inside the library. Admin became inaccessible for discussion. As she began her stint as library interim director, she was quick to remind everyone of chain of command over small issues, issues that were not being noticed and that we were verbally reprimanded for bringing to her attention. This has cultivated an environment of workplace fear of ever bringing forward issues again, lest they end up like me. I am one of many who had a passion for library work. I no longer work there due to the current admin. Unfortunately, after working at the library, I realized that if people don't want to read, they will believe whatever you want to tell them. And the county wants to tell us that Crystal Bell Rivera is qualified for this job, someone who allegedly has never checked out a book to a patron. We believe that she has hired qualified people, such as the library education director or manager, who does not have any, to my knowledge, education experience or library experience.
Thank you. It appears as if we had a repeat, so Jennifer, I apologize, you've already spoken. Linda Fischel? Fischel? She's not here? Okay, thank you for letting me know. Lori Nesmith? And Carolyn Taylor, you'll be next.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Lori Neesmith. I'm a former member of our Library Board of Governance. I emailed each of you on Monday with the historical documents that created the Board of Governance. I hope you reviewed them. As you know, the Library Board of Governance was created on January 22nd, 2013, by partnership of the city and the county. Here are some key points of Resolution R 2013-17 that established the board. The Board of Governance shall be composed of 5 voting members, 3 appointed by the County Commission, 1 appointed by the City Council, 1 appointed by the Mayor's Office. That is the voice that your organizations have in the board, your appointment of those members. The Board of Governance shall be accountable for the administration and operation of the West Florida Public Library System and shall establish a long-range plan of service. The Board of Governance shall recommend to the county administrator or designee a library director to head the library system. Upon the written request of the Board of Governance, the county administrator or designee may remove and or resign the library director. So this board also has the ability to remove the library director. It's a powerful board with a powerful voice. Additionally, the Board of Governance shall submit an annual budget in accordance with the budget calendar to the Board of County Commissioners. Our Library Board of Governance is an independent group with important responsibilities. It was established this way because the city and county officials knew that it was important to have a cross-section of community input. The 2013 resolution, an interlocal agreement between the city and the county, gave the board the authority to choose and to fire the library director. I do not believe it was our founders' intent to allow one person to hijack the process.
Thank you so much for your time. Carolyn, you're up, and John Bullock, you'll be next.
Hello, Commissioners. Nice to see you today. My name's Carolyn Taylor, and I live at 2520 Celtic Circle, 32503. I'm actually flabbergasted, so you guys managed to pull me out of my hidey hole up here today because of this. I would have thought at one time that the sentiment, "not everyone deserves a trophy," would ring true to each and every one of you. Mr. May, did you not hear the attorney just now when she said maybe we would lose some funding? I don't think that it's a guarantee, even with the waiver. And she did say, she started to say, and then Ms. Bowers chimed in. So basically, we're going to pull in a candidate who does not meet the minimum job requirement. So I'm just going to start applying for all of y'all and everything. So when you see me unqualified, I'm going to expect a job, okay? You're going to give her a 6-figure salary and then hire someone because of the waiver to do the job that her requirements should be doing to do the grants? Because I think that's what I'm understanding is the waiver would allow you guys to bring someone else in under her to do that. Why can't it just be one job? You know, my spouse used to be a page in high school. She's a retired she's a Naval Academy graduate in political science and retired naval flight officer. So we know a thing or two about a lot of things you guys are discussing out here today, including Iran, Mr. Strasburger. The library board made a recommendation for a candidate who meets every professional requirement necessary to protect our county libraries, disregarding the good judgment of professionalism in favor of an unqualified candidate who just so happens to be the spouse of an Escambia County Sheriff's employee. That's backing the good old boys club. And it's one that every single one of you must make. Thank you.
John, you're up. And after John will be Robin Richard.
Commissioners, as a member of the Board of Governance, I participated in the review process, which lasted several months, and we reviewed 22 candidates. I want to assure you that we looked at the merits of every one of those candidates. The controversy that you're hearing today was not part of our review. We were looking at the qualifications because we were looking for the best qualified person. Now, you've heard that, and it is true, the candidate recommended before you today does not have the qualifications under the state grant. Based on a law degree and 40 years of experience, I'll offer my opinion that we will not be qualified. We will not be eligible for state money for the library. But the county, we were told the county says, well, her qualifications are good enough. We weren't looking for good enough. We were looking for the best. The Escambia County Library is an excellent library. Thank you all for your support of it over the year. Crystal is smart. She is hardworking, she's ambitious, she's working hard on her degree, and she will, at some point in the future, be an excellent head librarian. But not now. She is not the most qualified candidate. We worked for the best interests of the library, and we think all of you have exactly that same interest in mind. You all want what's best for the Escambia County Library. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Robin Richard. And the next will be Jamie Kent.
Good evening, Commissioners. These past months have been a challenge to my head and heart. As a former member and chair of the Board of Governors for the West Florida Public Library and as a part of the citizen that word of this county. I'm a citizen. But I am reminded of what Mr. Marino said when his job performance was challenged, was called into question last year. He thanked the citizens for being engaged. He said, we have long nights sometimes, but you need that citizen engagement to be really successful, so I appreciate that. So my head and heart are here today. And in full disclosure, when she applied for the director's position, Bradley Vinson asked me to be a reference for her. I gladly accepted and stand by her qualifications, leadership experience, and passion for libraries. But my comments, though, are not about Bradley or any person for that matter. They are about this process. In the last 6 to 8 months, there has been a sense of nibbling away at the very foundation of what good governance looks like. eroding that process bite by bite, whether undermining authority, forcibly removing someone from office, or forcibly inserting someone in office. All of these should challenge our very humanity, decency, and professionalism. If this process of engaging citizens and then ignoring the processes, procedures, and policies you have entrusted them with is allowed and okayed, it will be a victory for a select few. It will be a Pyrrhic victory. It will be a victory gained at such a cost that it brings significant harm to the county. Even worse, it means that these actions are now allowed, they become validated as standard operating procedure, they become a habitual way of operating, they become our county's character, and then it becomes normalized and rewarded. So please understand, this is not about a person. This is about how the process to gain a position has been co-opted for a particular outcome. So let us be careful what we pray for. You might get that thing you prayed for, but God knows it's not what we need. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jamie? And next will be Beverly Perry.
Good evening. I come before you. Several of my friends wanted to be here, but they couldn't, so I'm speaking for them also. Bradley Benson is the most qualified candidate that you have. Why even have anyone think that there's any impropriety going on? Why think that it's possible maybe we can get our money, and why take a chance? Money's hard to come by. In the days of AI, we need libraries more now than ever. We don't need someone that's in the head position using AI to find out how to do her job. We need someone that knows, based on experience, based on their education, their qualifications, how to do the job the right way the first time. I've had 3 sons come up through Escambia County schools. I was the Escambia County Adult Volunteer of the Year one year. I volunteered in schools even before I knew Bradley personally, which has only been about 6 months or so. I heard nothing but good things about her, her qualifications, her ability to lead, her ability to do the right thing the first time. And that's what I'm asking you all to do. Do the right thing the first time. Don't take a chance on losing money. Don't take a chance on impropriety. Makes me think of the old days of the collared pot. Many of you probably know that. Don't take a chance. Do the right thing. Elect Bradley, appoint Bradley the job, and let's keep the library going as it can, improving, instead of just crossing our fingers and hoping that something like that will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Beverly Perry, and then after Beverly will be Melissa Pino.
Beverly Perry, 622 West Belmont Street. I'm a Escambia County resident and a library user. As someone who has served on volunteer boards for nonprofits, advocacy groups, and for community groups, I know that when asked to volunteer, people consider whether or not their time will be spent productively. While on my local neighborhood board, I've seen my neighbors and my fellow community members encouraged to participate on government boards. They're asked to get involved, and of course, they ask themselves, will my time and expertise be valued? Those who do volunteer do it to serve their community and make it a better place. Disregarding the recommendations of your governing boards does not set a good precedent. And I hope you will respect the expertise of your library board. Thank you.
Eric Sharpling, you'll be after Melissa Pino. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Chairwoman Hoffberger. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblis. And here we have brought to you another fine administrative mess, in particular by Ms. Bowers. And I'm not saying Wes doesn't have anything to blame in it. What's so sad about this situation, it's sad, it's painful, it's embarrassing, it's ridiculous, and it's unnecessary. It's absolutely unnecessary. And I want to start with Ms. Bell Rivera. because no one has spoken for her in terms of how painful this is. You know, somebody said, oh, since her takeover. I don't work for her. I am absolutely friends with Ronnie. I love him. I think he's a good man. I'm sure that if he married Crystal, she's a good person. But this process has once again dragged everybody into the mud, and people way beyond this room. It needs to be walked back. You guys need to start over. Allison and I have had our differences over the years, but when you have your attorney give you a clear maybe, and then you have another bold-faced lie, as has happened over and over, both behind the scenes and in front of them, this has not been fair to anyone. It hasn't been fair to the public. It hasn't been fair to the board. It hasn't been fair to the governance, the library board. And let me walk this back for a second. Commissioner Stroberger, I was the editorial assistant at the Massachusetts Historical Society. It's the oldest library and publishing house in the country. And I worked there part-time while I was sleeping in Widener Library at Harvard because I had to key to it because I worked in the English library. This is unfair. I feel sorry for Ms. Rivera. I feel sorry for Mr. Vincent, or sorry, Ms. Vincent.
Thank you, Melissa. We
Y'all need
appreciate
to
your
walk
comments.
this
Eric Sharplin, you're up.
back.
And after Eric will be Larry Downs Jr.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. The reason I came down today was I was on Facebook, and Rick Olson had an article, and I've heard just some commissioners' wives, and who actually runs your office? You or Mr. Luna making recommendations for the office? Is it you or is it her that run it?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
She's making recommendations. Is she the actual?
Who's making recommendations?
Your aide.
No, this came from Wes. This did not come from me or Melanie.
Oh, so did the story Rick Olson's running totally false?
I don't read Rick's blog or National Enquirer, but I can tell you that Melanie and I did not make this recommendation. Wes made this recommendation. We are up here to vote on it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's just, and I've even heard that from a county commissioner's wife who seems to have that impression. I know how stories break and gossip is, but I know, and the people are entitled to their opinions. Because I know that one good friend of mine has said that if it did happen, it wouldn't happen again. But anyway, I thank you for your time, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Larry Downs Jr., and then Ms. Welcome, you'll be after Larry Downs.
Larry Downs Jr. Looks like y'all not gonna confirm this one. I'm just guessing. I think that'd be a bad idea because the people just spoke. So I mean, that's that. So, you know, if I guess probably the main thing is y'all know I don't like cronyism, nepotism, socialism. I don't like most of those isms. So let's just try to keep all of that. I mean, I know it's impossible, but at least we could keep a little bit of it down, especially when it's clear and evident and obvious like this is. I mean, there's no way around it. So just do the right thing and go ahead and you know, start the process all over anew again and do what you got to do. But it's a lot of money for this position too, $113,000, $400 a month for a car allowance. You know, I mean, I'm not going to make everybody happy here because I don't think they like the first part, but they don't like the second part. We might be spending too much money on this type of stuff. I just checked the library to see if they had a book in stock called Dissolving Illusions by Dr. Suzanne Humphreys, and they don't. They don't have this book in there, which could save a lot of children from corporate chemical vaccine injections. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Welcome.
Hello, Commissioners. Arnita, welcome. I'm speaking on behalf of the librarian position, and it's hard to believe that West would even recommend someone with very little experience and education when you're looking at a salary of $113,000 plus a car allowance and $400 a month. That's director. That's fully qualified individual with education and knowledge. And me sitting on selection board when I worked for the government, we wanted the highly qualified individuals. And to pay someone this type of salary with the less experience and knowledge, that's why you have the comments that you're getting tonight. So I want you all to just really think about this and reconsider. My heart goes out to the individual who's sitting there, but if the experience is not there and the knowledge is not there, why would you want to pay someone this type of, unless it's favoritism? And like Larry said, he's tired of the isms, but that's the only thing that I could put it on. And favoritism can come back to bite you in the butt. So you want the best qualified, a person that will make you shine. That you won't get any repercussions behind hiring the less qualified. So just like the other people have said, do the right thing, and the right will follow you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, that concludes our speakers for this topic. Discussion?
So it's good. I have friends on both sides, and I'm not going to talk about the people up for positions. I will candidly say that we only hire two people. We hire the county administrator, and we hire the county attorney. And to bring this in a public form of a hiring process, in my opinion, is wrong. And so to Ms. Revere, to Ms. Vincent, it's completely wrong that we do a vetting of citizens here in this public forum. And to bring them out, they both have family, they both have children, they both have that, and to have to vet this out is a failure on our part. And although maybe we have to affirm it, maybe we have to confirm it. For 10 years, we never affirmed, we never confirmed, affirmed, and we can't hire and we can't fire. The bottom line, we can't even direct employees. We can hire whoever we hire. It would be a violation that we would end up with criminal charges if we were to direct any employee to do anything. We direct an administrator and we direct an attorney. And they have the latitude and the ability to make those decisions. And when we become unsatisfied with their decisions, we have the ability to excuse either one of them of their duties. Because I know both families, because I like both families, I mean, this process has been flawed. It has brought to question the library board, the friends of the library. When you have this many questions, when we have an administration versus a legal team that is not clearly on the same page about what the statute says, that in itself should cause pause. We sit back each and every day settling lawsuits to the tune of millions of dollars because someone made a mistake, and unfortunately those who make the mistakes are never in the shade meetings taking responsibility for those mistakes. And that's not in any way, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal mind, nor am I an administrator, but I do know that even today we were caught in something that caused us to be in a lawsuit. I'm not going to ever lean anyway on who we should hire, who we should fire, because I don't direct them. But I will be candid that when you have this type of concern, the process has not been fair to any other candidates, because in the history since I've been on this board and watched it, we've not taken any candidate, whether it's either one of those, take them through this type of public scrutiny to take a job, regardless of the figure. That's just wrong to bring people and bring them in a public meeting to have these type of discussions when we don't do that to any other director. We've not done this to any other department. Library shouldn't be any different. That's what leadership is. We make decisions. And so for me, whatever this board decides to do, the majority wins. I'm not going to vote to hire or fire anyone, but I'm certainly not going to be able to, in good conscience, support the process and the manner in which this has been conducted in terms of how we hire a director and to put them under this. I mean, because what we do when we do a process like this, imagine the undermining of their troops. When you bring them there, that's unfair to them who have to supervise and manage people who work for them. It causes a great divide, and we as a board, as a community, we should be looking for harmony, bridging the gap, and supporting whoever the director becomes. But when you do it in this manner, it's unfair to all concerned. And so with that, Madam Chair, I will yield and listen to my colleagues. But I can't really, and this is not something I've not told Director Marino multiple times, I was not in favor of having this item brought forward without further discussion. And certainly, I would prefer that the administrator would be on the dais because ultimately, regardless, it's not Debbie's decision. It is the decision of the administrator to make that final decision on who we're going to hire. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Kohler, you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to Ms. Rivera, I want you to know that you went through a lot here as interim. I want to just tell you, I appreciate you going through this process. Ms. Vincent, obviously, I don't know that person, but she obviously appears qualified. To the governing board, this is one of the things I think we fail as in the county a little bit. We don't listen as well as we should to our boards, the MAC and the governing board. I feel when a recommendation comes from our citizens, the county administrator should very rarely and infrequently change that position only if all merits equal and for good cause. I've hired and been the final person on multiple contracts in the Navy. USA jobs, you come in, you have to have your knowledge, skills, and abilities. You don't make the cert if you don't make the qualifications even to be interviewed. I don't know, Ms. Rivera, if you have the qualifications or not. It sounds like you may not. I've worked very closely with you, and I'm friends with your husband. But if you don't have the qualifications, I don't think it's fair to someone that does to not give them the opportunity to have the job. I can't do that. I believe in merit-based performance. I care about Crystal. I've been working with her on something. But if the attorney can't answer if we're going to lose money, and I didn't know she didn't meet the requirements till today, Debbie. I had an interview process with you on Monday, and I wish you would have told me that because I was a little bit frustrated when I found that out today. And we need a little bit more transparency with the board so that we don't get caught in this crossfire and look like we don't know what in the heck's going on. And that's all I have to say. I think you know where I'm going.
So may I answer that question?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. So, or overall, I have 9 directors that report to me, and I hired half of them since I've been here with Wes and with Jamie. So I know what is required of a director to run a department. And this is a sizable department with a $12 million annual budget and with 111 employees. When I was asked to step into this, I don't know, the library doesn't report to me, so I did some research to make sure I knew what I was doing. When I did the research, I talked to Nikki, I looked at Crystal's resume, I looked at the fact that it says, or equivalent experience. And we do that in a lot of places. We look at what we have, and it's not, if you see at the end, it says, or equivalent experience. Both Nikki and I looked at that, and Nikki has affirmed, and I agree with her, that Crystal has equivalent experience. I think that she has done a great job since 22, taken over, as a deputy, which she was a deputy in 22, then she took over as the interim. She has kept operational continuity. She's ran the $12 million budget. She has managed 111 people. She has filled strategic vacancies that has improved the workforce quality. She did get the grant funding, and I'm not exactly sure what Ms. Pino was saying about Lyon, but we talked to the Florida State Division of Library and Information Services, and were assured that not only would we be able to get the funding or be eligible for the funding. Other library systems in the state of Florida do not have their director listed as the appropriate person to get this funding. So we were assured that we would be eligible for the funding. I don't want to, I sat in.
Debbie, I don't want to interrupt you, but let me ask you a question, because I hear what the attorney's saying, that it's kind of a gray issue. And I mean, it's one of the sticklers. So, I mean, I'm not here to say who to hire, who to fire. But you said you've been assured. I mean, I can tell you, we were assured multiple things in the jail, and we're paying millions of dollars. And so, does the statute, are we within the statute, and you would be willing publicly to say that you're 100% sure that we get that funding? I mean, you have it in writing, and you can assure us that we're getting that funding.
I mean, in Debbie's defense, nothing's 100% sure when it comes to state funding, so.
Well, the statute's absolutely 100%.
The statute interpretation is up for legal
Yeah, the
debate.
statute.
but-
I mean, listen, no, I'm not putting
I
anybody
mean,
on the spot, Madam Chair, but I can't have an attorney.
I get what you're going at. You want accountability, and I'm 100% behind you.
Yeah. If the
but-
statute says it, it says it. I mean, it's just a question for me, because there's so many people that ask that question. I don't know. Quite frankly, it's not even my lane. I'm just asking the question because so many people have come up and said it. So, I mean, are we within the statute, and did we get the funding? I mean, that's simply if Debbie's a lawyer, Allison's a lawyer, sometimes you get two different opinions on attorneys. So you're right.
I also don't think we got two different opinions. I think Debbie had more current information than Allison had, but can
I
you clarify?
have not been engaged in any conversations with the State Division of Libraries. This has not been, that has not been on my plate.
Thank you.
Okay. With all due respect, I mean, we're talking about a legal issue, and we're saying we're not engaging our legal team. I mean, I don't know if that's good stewardship or not. I mean, but, and that's fine, but I mean, we say, because, I mean, here's the reality of what happens. We ultimately become responsible. And then at the end of the day, there's nobody held responsible. I mean, a statute is a statute. I mean, it's black and white. I mean, it's interpretation. Well, so it would say to me then, if it hadn't been reviewed by the attorney, that puts Ms. Rivera in a bad spot. It puts the board in a bad spot. If you're saying that we're going to adhere to a statute, that we don't have a legal opinion from our attorney, that's not good governance.
So the statute is relevant to the grant only, which is between $80,000 and $100,000 a year, and we're talking about 2 years? So this is a maximum, if you're wrong, a maximum loss of $200,000 over 2 years?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Berry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, and I know we do have legal, job descriptions for positions, and, you know, often it does say, or equivalent experience. And, you know, when you say that, when you might would say when you don't meet the minimum requirements, I mean, I think the argument could be made that doing the job is more than meeting a minimum requirement if you've actually been doing the job successfully. And by accounts from administration, she has been. I don't know Ms. Bell Rivera well. I don't know Mrs. Vinson well. I do know Joe, you know, from years back. And I think it's unfortunate. I agree with my colleague. It's unfortunate that there's had to be so many statements made about, you know, about the job, and, you know, specifically about Ms. Rivera. I think that's unfortunate that there's been so many personal things said about her through this process. From my point of view, the process is not about Ms. Bell Rivera, nor is it about Bradley Benson. It's about the administrator. And, you know, to be candid, we have a job description for an administrator. The current administrator didn't meet that job description. And my conversation 5 years ago at the dais was the best indicator of whether someone can do the job is not a resume. If you have the opportunity to see that the person has been doing the job, there you go. And in this instance, you know, I think that Wes has done a great job as an administrator for Escambia County. While he didn't meet the minimum requirements that would have been in that job description. And when you say someone's going to have to be accountable, someone is accountable. And from my point of view, the administrator is going to be accountable. You know, I've had the unfortunate circumstance of doing multiple administrator searches on this board. It's never a great process. It's never something that's enjoyable. But that's who's going to be accountable for if something goes poorly with this decision. that's who I'm, that's who we as a body and, me individually have, that's who we can touch. And if, if he's willing to put his goodwill with his board who employs him on the line for Ms. Bell Rivera, I've got 14 years of confidence and trust in Wes's decision-making, and I'm going to support that. That's the ultimate decision from my point of view. It's not about qualifications, it's not about Ms. Bell Rivera, nor is it about Ms. Vinson. As one of the speakers mentioned, I would dare say that I utilize the library more than, potentially more than anyone on the dais, just, personally. We're in the library a couple of times a month, and it's important to me how it's run. And since she's been in that position, it seems just as a utilizer, not as a board member, just as a utilizer, it seems to be running well. The administrator says it is. And again, from my point of view, it's not about the personalities of who it is. There are many claims were made about, Ms. Bell Rivera's relationships. The other person has, very deep Pensacola ties as well. There are very strong relationships there as well. So it's not about the people. It's a recommendation coming from an administrator that I trust, and I'm going to continue to trust until I have a reason to not trust. And at that point in time, that's a different discussion for this board, or for me as a member of this board. For that reason, it is, I guess, something we have to stamp, and I'm willing to stamp it because he's willing to put his goodwill on the line for it.
Commissioner May.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner Berry, certainly I am a supporter of Director Marino, voted for him to get his job. I don't have any doubt. I have a great relationship with my libraries, with all of our library staff, including Ms. Rivera. I've been very open and direct with the administrator. This is a major decision. Probably the most controversial hiring director position we've had since we've been on this board. Probably one of the most, and I would want the administrator here because there's still questions and people are going. I'm not moving to affirm or hire. My motion is simply a motion to postpone this and get the administrator so at least he can facilitate and communicate. He has the ultimate and the final decision, but the citizens and the applicants deserve an opportunity to have a little more further vacation because of the cloudiness of this, and we have not been crystal clear in what has been said on this board. So for me, I would simply make a motion, Madam Chair, that we just postpone this until Director Marino is back here in full operations.
So with all due respect, that's in essence saying that you don't support it, so we are making a decision about the hiring of, of a director.
I don't think, Steve, I'm making a decision. I'm saying I'm waiting till Wes is back. As you said, we take his word, but I think that if we're making something as controversial as this, that quite frankly, the administrator should be here. But, certainly I will, support the will of this board, as I always have. But I certainly think the administrator should be here.
We do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? That would be 2-3. Commissioner Sturberger, I saw you had your light on. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Berry. This is a decision for the county administrator. We have, and I have never heard a disparaging thing about Ms. Rivera until this week, the emails I received. and all the accounts that I've got is that she's doing a wonderful job. And she was a great choice to be the interim. And like I said, it's our administrator's decision to hire who he thinks is best qualified. And I'm sure that he took everything into account, and I trust his decision as well.
I appreciate that.
Madam Chair, let me be very clear, and to my colleague that we're probably, we think alike probably 95% of the time. There's in no way any disparaging remarks on anyone's qualification. Ms. Rivera has done a great job,
I understand.
And I simply said that there's a process in which a voluntary governing board had a lot of questions, and it's just, in my opinion, the ultimate decision. As my Commissioner Mayor, as you've just said, we will hold Director Marino accountable. He's not here. And so Debbie is leading that charge. And so that motion failed, and I'm going to be supportive, but I will be on the record because I probably have hung out with Ms. Rivera more than I've hung out with any library director ever and their friends. It's not about anybody personal. It's certainly about people questioning the process that elect me and vote for me, and so I owe that to them if they wanted to have further dialogue. They've made a decision. The ultimate decision is the administrator, but it's been brought before this board for a public conversation. But I'll be supportive.
Commissioner Berry?
I think, sometimes and I'm not saying this is everything that's going on here, but, just historically or, some institutional remembrance for at least you and I. Often there's, well, we just want to have more conversation, or, we just want to have more transparency. It's not always that's what the want is. The want is I want a different answer. That's the actual. But that's the want, and I'm not going to force a different answer out of the administrator, whether he's here or not. Again, the goodwill exists. I'm going to support it just because I support Wes. He's willing to risk his goodwill with me as a member of this board by bringing this forward. I've mentioned the similar concerns that you have. He said, I really want to bring it forward. She's been interim, for long enough. I want to have some more stability for the employees. Okay. That's him willing to risk his goodwill. As you and I have seen in the past, you can, in these positions, you can have goodwill. Once that goodwill is lost, you don't get it back. So if he's willing to risk the goodwill that keeps his employee, that means something to me as, candidly, probably the person that knows Ms. Bell Rivera and her husband least well amongst us. I would dare say I know them the least well of all of us. And again, so it's not about them. It's simply about Wes.
Well, listen, and so let me be on record. The process, the way Ms. Rivera is being treated and the way Ms. Benson is being treated, it's not the way that you should do a hiring process. It's fundamentally wrong.
I do agree with that, and we can put that on the agenda for another time. Commissioner Berry, would you like to make a motion to move this?
No, Madam Chair, let me finish. We're having a conversation. I can say what I want to say. Fundamentally, that was my point, that process was wrong. But, I'm a consensus builder, and so you make a motion. I'm going to be a consensus, and not just for who the director is, but I'm going to be a consensus builder for the Friends of the Library, the governing board, and those people who have been engaged in the library long. And Steve, I have a long history when the city of Pensacola, when the former mayor candidate, CJ, was running for mayor. We've had a long history of libraries. We've had a long history of disparities in libraries when we just had storefronts on Cervantes. So it's been a long history. So there's a lot of passion and emotions that have gone into this that may not be the administrative decision, but there are emotions that are engaged. And so when people are emotionally tied to something, I'm just going to engage them and listen to them and try to at least understand their position, recognizing that there has to be a decision made, and the decision is solely on the administrator. He has that ability to do it, and I agree with you. It's him. If he makes a mistake, he's the only one that we can fire. So you and I are, I think, on the same page.
Can I ask a question? No, ma'am. I do have a few things that I want to say, and Commissioner Kohler, I see your light on. Unfortunately, this board overrides board decisions all the time. I sit on the TDC board and we vote something down and somebody comes up here and they ask for millions and millions of dollars, not $200,000, but millions, and we give it to them. So this is not a unique situation. Ms. Richard brought up Wes, and when I called, it was me, I called for a public review. And Commissioner Berry, I want to thank you for being consistent. You said the same thing at that time. You said he's been doing the job and I believe in him. And you felt like it was pretty much what you just said, the proof of doing the job and being able to do the job is the fact of doing the job. So I appreciate that. Wes and I have had a few come to Jesus conversations since then, and I feel like we're making progress. So I'm thankful that we have had the ability to move forward through that. And Allison has told me several times, stay out of the hiring process. Stay out of the hiring process. That is one of the two things you have got to stay out of. We don't get to hire anybody other than the county administrator and the county attorney. And then there was a few remarks made earlier that I feel like we need to address. Someone said something about not hiring Crystal because of who her husband was. And if that is not a glass ceiling, I don't know what is. Crystal should be able to stand alone and get a job on her own or not get a job on her own, irregardless of who she's married to. In addition, some people said we had so many people come and speak, and Crystal didn't have but 1 or 2 people come and speak to her. This is not a popularity contest. We don't judge by the number of people that speak. We judge by the content that is brought in front of us. Somebody did say that. Yes, because I made a note of it. Yes. And then I do have an HR background, and I wrote an entire article that was published about hiring the heart. And sometimes you have to hire somebody for the heart that they have for the community, for the job that they're doing, and sometimes that is not necessarily exactly what's on the job description. And sometimes the heart that somebody has and the passion that they have for the job that they do, along with other relevant experience, combines and makes them the perfect fit for the job. Wes isn't here to speak up for himself, but I would think that when he did the interview, that he believed that bridged the gap. So that is where I stand on that. We do need a motion to do something at this point.
I move to approve the administrator's recommendation for the hiring.
I second it.
All in favor? That would be, is that a yes or a no? You're opposed, okay. So that would be 4 for it and 1 against it, with Commissioner Kohler against the item. Okay, thank you. All right, next we are going to move on.
I don't want to redo this. All it would be is redoing all this.
Did the clerk's office receive the proof of publication for the public hearings on the agenda and the board's weekly meeting schedule?
Madam Chair, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Wonderful, thank you.
I move to waive the reading.
Second.
Okay, so we're moving to waive the reading. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0, thank you. We do have speakers on the clerk's report. We have a speaker for item number 1. Pam, would you like them, or Madam Clerk, I'm sorry, would you like them to go first? You would, okay. Larry Downs Jr., you're our first and only speaker, and then I will pass it back to the Madam Clerk for her to give us the report.
All right, this one here is on the Larry Downs Jr. Sorry about that. I got involved with that last one and I forgot where I was at. Oh, here we go, right here. This is on the that the board accept for filing with the board's minutes the investment portfolio summary report of the month. Are y'all aware that that we're down on our our short-term portfolio achievement for the yield? It's down 1.5% over last year's, and then the long-term core portfolio achieved a yield of 3.77, which is down a little over 1%. Do y'all make, and I know you ain't gonna answer, but that's all right. Who makes the investments of our money? You know, it's over, what is this, over $600 million there?
Madam Chairman, I will actually answer Mr. Downs.
Oh, awesome.
So
I love it.
Well, you've stuck around just to make the comment earlier about the book, about the vaccine book, so I guess. We have a third-party manager, a professional manager that I think the clerk mainly interacts with, but that does the management. And those rates of return are going to match they're going to match what's the movement in the overnight rate of Fed funds. I mean, it's very, they're still on it's, in my opinion, still on the very high end of performance. And I'm pleased with where we are. You know, being down basically 100 basis points year over year is very comparable to what's in the market.
So it's what the going rate is then?
Yes.
For that type of money, for $600 million? Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's all right then. But I sure would have liked it a lot better though. If we could, you know, maybe shop it around a little, maybe check with BlackRock, State Street, maybe we could get some better investments.
So don't leave, Larry. You're signed up for item number 4. Would you like to go on and speak to item number 4?
Yes, absolutely would. Yes. There we go. Yes, this is on the, you know, the public forum minutes. And, you know, first off, I would appreciate more minutes because it's in the minutes here. We'd like more minutes like we used to get. You know, it's hard. I talked to several people. It's hard for them to get their thoughts formed in 2 minutes. So it's, you know, it's just, there's no reason for it. You know, I get it. Sometimes there's a lot of people up here. So what? I just spent 9 hours at a Senate hearing on Tuesday. There's no, you know, I mean, think about that. They spent 9 hours from 9 a.m. to 6:15 when they made the last vote. Now I get it. They're senators. You know, y'all are commissioners. But we still should give the people more time, 3 minutes every time. And please don't try to convert our First Amendment rights to redress our government, which y'all are our local nearest, dearest government. Mm-hmm. Please don't try to convert those rights into a privilege. It's not a privilege, it's a right. And it shouldn't be, it should not be confused with chaos. You know, please don't call us chaos. We're not. Some of us do a little satire with our redress. So what? Some of them are a little bit offensive. So what? You know, have we become such a weak country that our elected officials have such a thin skin that they can't even hear a little bit of, you know, just a little bit of frustration come out of the people? I mean, so let's stop trying to convert our rights, you know, into a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. We appreciate your comments. Madam Clerk, the clerk's report.
Thank you,
please.
Mr. Downs. To answer your question, it's a large portfolio. We have only one manager that handles a small section of the portfolio. I make all the decisions. We are very restricted by statute, so if you're watching the Dow, we can't be compared to that. We can't invest in the BlackRocks, et cetera. My personal portfolio is doing quite well, probably better than the percentage here that I list, and it is duly noted, but you need to understand the restrictions by statute. Good. Okay. I have 4 items on the agenda for your approval. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to move the report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 4-0 with Commissioner May out. Horace, the growth management report. Is this a record for you? Is this the latest you've ever given it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no,
No.
unfortunately. We have a rezoning case Z 2025-12, I'm sorry, from commercial to heavy commercial light industrial. The planning board made a recommendation for approval.
We have no speakers on this item.
Move to approve the planning board recommendation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, that would be 4-0 with Commissioner May out. Item number 2.
Item 5, well, the adoption of the official zoning map for the preceding case.
Okay, we have no speakers on this item.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor? 4. We have speakers signed up for 1-3.
Yes, and the next item is for the speakers, rezoning case 2026-01 from medium density residential to HDR. The planning board made a recommendation for approval.
Okay, We do have 4 speakers. Our first speaker is Janice, and then Irene, you'll be next.
Good evening. My name's Janice Hoff, and I am a resident of the Fox Run subdivision and a part of the Homeowners Association. I'm here to voice opposition to the request for the rezoning of the medium density to high density of 9900 Gotti Lane, case number Z2026-01. This section of Gotti Lane backs up to several properties in the Fox Run subdivision, specifically to Huntsman's Path, and this request appears to be spot zoning. We feel that new uses, density change, and/or intensity have not been identified to the affected community. Gotti Lane already has multiple apartment and duplex structures, as well as single-family residences. There appears to be no actual plan for the betterment of this area, except for a continuation of a hodgepodge approach to development. This proposed rezoning will not preserve the character and quality of residential neighborhoods adjacent to this location, number 4 LDC Chapter 3, because of loss of privacy, potential for noise pollution, increased traffic, congestion, public safety, hurricane evacuation, etc. This creates a scenario for mixed-use buildings adjacent to a single-family subdivision with resulting change in the character of the subdivision without benefit or enhancement of the area, number 5 LDC Chapter 3. We have great concern that this rezoning will affect Fox Run property values in a negative manner and have adverse impacts upon the surrounding properties, and we request that maintenance of the current zoning will serve a greater public interest than increasing density in this residential area. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Irene, and then Bridget, you will be after Irene.
Good evening. I'm Irene Gilgan, and I'm the president of the board of the Homeowners Association of Fox Run, and I'm talking on behalf of our residents. We are very, very strongly against changing the zoning from the 10 U's, I guess that means units per acre, to 18. Right now, if you take a look at Gotti Lane, where the proposed development is going to be, there are many, many one-story houses there, subdivisions, duplexes, and they're all one-story. All right, if we increase the density, those residents are going to have to come out on Gotti Lane. Gotti Lane already has a lot of traffic. If you stop at the red light at Gotti Lane and 9 Mile Road, there is usually 10, 15 cars backed up. We do not need more. It has also, if we increase the density, it will have a direct negative impact to Fox Run. Fox Run is a small, quiet subdivision. We are lucky to have trees and foliage frame our subdivision, okay? And those trees and that foliage gives us privacy, it gives us shade, and it's also our sanctuary to sit in the backyard. And so the proposed development is going to be apparently a 2-story duplex, all righty? In order to do that, the developer is going to have to clear cut that property, and that is going to destroy our sanctuary, our greenbelt area, and right now, I don't think that the developer is going to put a greenbelt in there. Also, our tax values, our property values are going to decrease, and that's very, very important to us. We have a beautiful subdivision, and we don't want our property values to go down. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bridget, and then after Bridget is Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Barber, and I've resided at 9917 Huntsman Path in Fox Run since 1986. I am here today regarding the proposed construction. We share a fence line of approximately 75 feet. There are 5 single-family homes, including my own, that will be directly impacted. All of the homes adjacent to the proposed building have bedrooms in close proximity to the proposed complex. With multiple families living so close, the increased noise level could become problematic. Privacy is a major concern, as a multi-story complex would overlook the backyards of surrounding homes. Although there's a 6-foot fence separating the properties, family activities such as entertaining, swimming, would no longer be private. Over the years, I've been impacted by multiple people entering my backyard by hopping the back fence. They've cut across using my yard as a shortcut to catch a school bus, visit friends, and on one occasion, take a dip in my pool. Most issues were resolved by speaking directly to the involved families. My fear is that the addition of multiple housing units would invite more trespassers. Guidy Lane, a 2-lane street connecting 9-mile to 10-mile roads, is historically a busy thoroughfare. There have been many automobile accidents involving residents attempting to turn onto Guidy. An increased population could spur additional traffic accidents. A major contributor of my home's value is the large, maintained, serene backyard. I fear that a huge, multifamily structure towering over my property would negatively impact the value of my home. Thank you for hearing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Thomas, and then Larry Downs. You'll be after Thomas.
My wife and I are the owners of the subject property that we're talking about. If there's one thing that's a need in Escambia County, based on the growth that's going on, it's affordable housing. And that's what we attempt to bring into it. We have done a similar project on Holsbury Lane, which has been very successful. People are very happy living there. And we have another project on Crow Road over on the west side of Escambia County. Both of those projects are very successful. People enjoy living there. What we really intend to do with this property is to build duplexes there. The property from the previous owners was approved for townhouses, and so it's already been approved somewhat for multifamily housing. We prefer to build duplexes, not townhouses, and so if we're approved for this project, we think we will be able to bring 20 or 22 families affordable, safe housing. And it fits the character of the neighborhood. The Planning Commission has reviewed it. They're in agreement with what we want to do with the property, and we will certainly work with the Planning Commission to make sure it meets all of the requirements of Escambia County. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. Larry Downs, you'll be our last speaker on this topic. If you want to come on up.
Larry Downs Jr. again. It's even if once y'all, hopefully y'all approve this, because our founding fathers knew that the secret to prosperity was property rights, and when you deny somebody their use of their property, that's a kind of a taking. But anyways, and it's in here. I know it's it's one of those things that's a problem, but there's still the Board of Adjustments. They still got to go through more hoops, more hurdles, all types of stuff. They're going to have to make concessions, with to get it going, and then the DRC and all that. So there's more steps to this, but I always find it interesting that people who already have their property using the way they want to use it, then they want to have government deny other people to use their property the way they want. Y'all are not supposed to be in the property, in the property value or keeping prices up or down or anything like that. That's not y'all's purview, is to make decisions off of what will property values be. I mean, I hope y'all know that. You're supposed to do it off of rights, off of property rights, and if it meets the criteria, which I'd even argue against that, what criteria? criteria to keep people from doing it. How about we just stop setting up task force to come up with more rules and regulations to stop people from using their property, and we try to make it happen so we can have more prosperity across more, more lines, call it the freedom line.
Thank you, Larry. That concludes our speakers for this item. Board discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Either Horace or Drew, can you kind of come up and just chat a little bit? I mean, these, I'm very familiar with Guidey Lane. It's, for many years, Northeast Pensacola Ballpark was on the property that Hillcrest Church now owns. And so I've driven that road, even ridden my bike down there when I was at elementary school 45 years ago. So it's, those are my constituents that back up on Huntsman, and there are, when you look at the surrounding properties, I mean, there are quite a few multifamily on Guidey.
Yes.
So it's not, to say that it doesn't fit. I mean, it does somewhat fit in that area. We have, we do have, some of those apartments have been there longer, over 50 years. I mean, some of those apartments as you get to the north end of the road. But you can just briefly address how we can, kind of manage some of the concerns. The property is already approved for multifamily. They can, we can already have multifamily on the parcel.
Correct.
And I know this it is a little bit more density, but, it's not a relatively large parcel. We're going to have to meet setbacks. The change in the product on the ground is going to be pretty minimal, but just talk a little bit about how we can address some of those concerns about the neighbors that would border on the east side of the parcel.
Yes, sir. We can handle that through buffering provisions. This was approved in '22 at the Board of Adjustment for townhomes. It was going to be 16 a townhome subdivision. That project never went past DRC stage. This one will have to come back through whatever they're going to propose.
Right.
And it'll come back through, and once again, buffering is between uses, dislike uses. Residential and residential, but this is more on a commercial nature of residential.
Sure.
So we would
Well, I
definitely.
mean, this intensity is more of a commercial use. So, yeah, I mean, the
Yeah,
buffering
yes.
is going to be, the buffering is going to be, it's going to be necessary, it's going to be required, and I'm going to expect that.
And if I may, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. Thank you even for the citizens. They did make those comments at the planning board. It was agreed upon even by the developer that they will enhance the buffering requirement. That we do have standard buffering requirements that they got to meet, but because of the concerns that were raised by, they say, yes, we will enhance it. Those statements was made, and even when we come through the site plan review process, that was one point factor that to make sure that they can sort of enhance it, not to eliminate it, but just to make it either bigger or wider so they can provide more, help the citizens that are adjacent to the property, because the size is an important factor as well.
All right, thank you, Horace. Thank you, Madam Chairman. With those comments, if there's not any more comments from the board, I would move to approve the recommendation from the planning board.
All in favor? Commissioner May? 5-0, thank you.
Are there any speakers on the 546?
No, sir, there's
All right,
not.
I move the 546 hearing.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? 5-0, thank you.
And then we do have our consent agenda.
All right, I move the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? All in favor? 5-0, thank you. Okay, that moves us to the county administrator's report. We have speakers for item number, I'm sorry, what? Okay, we have speakers for 3, 7, and 9.
Move to balance.
Okay. Do
Second.
we have a second? All in favor? Thank you. So for item number 1, Larry Downs, if you'll come up.
Larry Downs Jr. again. Is this for a recommendation concerning community redevelopment? Am I on the right page?
Ascend Performance Materials.
Do what?
Recommendation concerning memorandum of understanding between Escambia County, Florida and Ascend Performance Materials Operations LLC regarding on-premise fire department training.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Do we have a?
Move the item.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Commissioner May? Yes, okay, 5-0, thank you. We have a speaker for item number 7, that is Chris Kerb. Chris, if you'll come on up.
Yeah, I know a little history about this Quail Ridge subdivision. First of all,
Is this different?
remember I was telling you at public forum about the sins of the past? Well, it was designed for a 25-year design storm, and it fell 2 or 3 times during the last few years since it was built. But one of the reasons I wanted to speak on this item is y'all have a MSBU pond maintenance ordinance 2006-51. And it pretty much says when you take a pond over from a homeowners association, you apply an MSBU for maintenance. I didn't see that in the background. But I did go back and look at your actual ordinance. It's got a nice little clause in there that the developer donates to the county or deeds to the county. So I guess you get off on that. You might want to change that ordinance, because if you're taking over stormwater ponds, you should be able to pay for the maintenance on them, because the people that live there are the ones that are benefiting from it. This is just another example of where the sins of the past are catching up with us. Maybe y'all need to update your design standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Chris was our last speaker.
All right, Madam Chair, I'll take that from Chris as a congratulations. This took me about 3 years to get to this point, so I would move the item A, B, and C. I want to thank Madam Council for having to work with, I believe it ended up being owned by a defunct LLC that ended up with council as well, so I know she had to have multiple conversations, and I think there were multiple iterations of an agreement, but it has worked out. It's been a long period of time, and I'm very happy to provide this benefit to these residents who were never able to have a functioning pond after 40 years of a neighborhood. So it's just one of those things that didn't work out, and they're very, very pleased. So thank you.
Wonderful.
I move the item.
All in favor? 5-0, thank you. Our next speaker is for item number 9, and that's Melissa Pino.
Thank you, Chairman Hoffberger. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Bowlitz. Okay, Commissioner Kohler, we can't agree on everything. So, vacations. Particularly West Side vacations, and I'm just going to say it again. No one will ever listen to me. I'm just going to keep saying, quit giving away public property for free. That's number one. Anybody, if there is a reason for a vacation, somebody can buy it. I don't care if it's an ounce of dirt or if it's 100 yards or what it is. This thing of just giving land away that taxpayers own absolutely baffles me. I will never understand why you guys do that. Now, to the particular character of vacations in alleys on the west side, man, you're taking all of our alleys, Commissioner Kohler. The alleys are a really, really distinct, cool thing about the west side, and of course I'm exaggerating, you're not taking all of our alleys, but this is I think this is the 3rd vacation of an alley in Beach Haven recently. It's like every time a house gets built or there's a development now in Beach Haven, it's just de rigueur that we're gonna blow away the alley with a vacation. Okay, so maybe the person on the other side of the alley likes that. Why wouldn't they? They're going to get half the land and they're going to get to stretch their property out. I mean, okay, can I have the alley behind my house in Navy Point? It's a grid of alleys in an area with a lot of flooding problems. People use alleys. I can't speak to this particular alley in Beach Haven, but it just seems like there's a lot of them. And now, not only that, you can tell Jane it's not personal. I hate these vacations that give away land for free, and I wish you guys would consider, and Vicki Haynes Campbell and I had a good conversation after that last one, and she
Thank you,
explained
Melissa.
why she thought people should get it for free. I'll never agree.
Okay. Board?
Well, you know, I know we do this all the time. Allison, why don't we charge? I don't understand why we do give free land away. I've asked that, and I don't remember why you guys keep telling me it's a good idea. I just still don't.
Vacation is typically very different than actual fee simple ownership of property. You're using vacations in limited instances. Typically, it's areas that are dedications on plats, which you are not obligated to accept for maintenance or improvements, or you think maybe a board thinks that maybe in the future we might need them for something, and then years go by and we don't use them. It's typically different than, say, parcels of property. You have an ordinance, very strict rules about how you convey your fee simple ownership of property. It's typically auctioned to the highest bidder. These things like dedications and these weird things on plats, and it's just different. You don't typically own in fee simple those properties.
So you're saying we can't we can't charge for these, or we shouldn't?
You're not, well, it's an odd, you're not conveying true ownership. You're just, the question to you is going to be at this public hearing, do you want to remove the layer of potential public use or leave it there because you think there's a public purpose to keep it there? And we've had it is true, we've had boards in the past that would have a policy that if it touched water or waterfront, then it was just no-go. We weren't gonna vacate the public's interest in those types of pieces. But for whatever, I don't even know the background on this one. But
It's a very small piece,
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not, we've given away much more, but it just seems like we should have some sort of fee if we give a person more property, but, you know, maybe they get it on property taxes when they get reassessed. Does that happen?
Yeah, so typically, in an ideal world, somebody who is successful in a vacation application would, if they really wise, would go to court and get a quiet title action. And then, yes, I would certainly anticipate that the parcel line would be clearly amended by the property appraiser's office. They should be taxed for it.
Okay. I'll move the item.
Do we have a second? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, we do have
Oh.
one more speaker. I'm so sorry. Larry, yes, you're up, sir. Apologize. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you. I was about to head out of here. I was about to leave and heard Melissa speaking. So free charging for more property. No. We shouldn't be charging to vacate a property that was going to be used for something and then never was. I received one of those back in 2002 for my gym that I had. That was right there, and we were able to use it to put it to good use. Of course I would have paid for it, but why? Why does everybody have to pay for everything when it's not being used and it gets it off of y'all's record? I mean, just because, some citizens just can't get enough Big Daddy government taking our money doesn't mean that you have to or that you should even try to find a way to. I mean, it's other people's money, right? It's always other people's money until it's yours. And sooner or later, we're going to run out of this. So anyways, if you would, just keep on helping people improve their lot in life and their properties in life. I mean, if it's there, you ain't using it, there's no use for it, which I know the one that was behind me, it wasn't. It was wooded. It was ridiculous. And it just allowed me to utilize my property a little bit more. But I get it. They've been conditioned. Charge them, charge them, charge them. Don't do it.
That completes our speakers.
Approve this one.
I'll move the item.
And do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Okay, 5-0. Thank you. All right. Good night, Larry. Next, we have the budget and finance consent agenda. We have speakers on items number 5, 6, and 7.
Move the balance.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? That is 4-0 with Commissioner May stepping out. Our first speaker is for item number 5, and that's Chris Kerb. Chris, if you'll come on up.
Hello again, Chris Kerr with Flood Defenders. I'm all for making improvements in 11 Mile Creek Basin, especially stormwater ponds. That's one of your worst basins in Escambia County as far as flooding. And there's a reason behind that too. Sins of the past, I've been talking about that all night. Up above Bristol Park, there's 22,000 acres that make up 11 Mile Creek Basin. And if you use your 1979 archived and obsolete rainfall data that DOT has said not to use in design, and you compare that to NOAA Atlas 14 rainfall data, it's about 2 inches difference. You multiply 2 inches over 22,000 acres and you come up with 159,720,000 cubic feet of volume. That's about 1.2 billion gallons of water that's not accommodated in your watershed. So what does that do? It raises your floodplain and floods places like Bristol Park, Ashbury Hills, because your stormwater ponds in your watershed are not accommodating the 100-year volume that you say in your code you're supposed to accommodate, because you're allowing the use of obsolete, outdated rainfall data. Man, I'm sounding like a broken record up here. When are you going to change your design standards? You had an ordinance in front of you in March, and you kicked it down the road. You love kicking cans down the road. Wonder why? Is it because the HBA got up here and told you, oh, we don't want to pay a little extra money for stormwater ponds, so we'll just continue subsidizing development?
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Chris is the only speaker on this item, which was item number 5.
Move the item.
Do we have a second? All in favor? It's 4-0 with Commissioner Mayout. Next is item number 6. We have 2 speakers. Melissa Pino will be first, and then Kevin Wage will be next.
Thank you, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblitz. Commissioner Kohler, you missed me thanking you for this project the last time, so I'll just, because it was on the agenda last time, I'll just say briefly that this thing never would have gotten going if you wouldn't have finally started pushing. And usually I'm railing on change orders. That's another one of my favorite topics. I don't like as-built stuff, and I think the county needs to get away from it. But dredges are incredibly complex projects that answer to tons of different agencies. And then what people would not know is that there has been a lot of neighborhood input on this, meeting after meeting after meeting, the Bayou Davenport group, Navy Point group, WRC group, and I'm sure there's more that I don't know about. And I know that I am aware of at least 7 meetings that you listen to citizen, input on, and these changes are for the better. They really made it, and staff also attended those meetings and they listened to everybody, and so it really was a model of public input, as this project really has been since Brett Whip started it out right from the very beginning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mel. It's going to be a huge success. I know we've had a few barriers, but I want to thank Chips and Tim for being on board. Oh, Kevin, you speaking on it too? Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I don't want to cut in on you. Kevin Wade, 413 about Southeast Boblitz. My dog teaches other dogs to fish, and she teaches other dogs to catch the Frisbee in the water. And I watch her, and she sees that other dog carrying that trophy. She'll swim out to get it and bring it to him a few times, and it's like she keeps bringing it back to him over and over again. White Island is a place I'm going to be taking that dog a lot. She's going to catch a lot of fish there. She's been catching shrimp at night with a little light on her collar. I just absolutely love it. And I love seeing that you got to get this through, and you're listening
and bringing the staff out to hear the people and their concerns of this really turn the tide around in the neighborhood, with people being really proud of what's happening with White Island. And yeah, the change order on this, that's 13%? That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. Like, good job, love it. And on 7, they just skip on past that. But thank you very much.
I just want to make one more shout out to the project manager, Ryan Kirby, and I'll make a motion to move this item.
Wonderful. Kevin, I want to make sure that I heard you right. You don't want to speak on item number 7? Okay. Do we want to move this item and item number 7 together?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move 6 and
both.
7.
Okay, all
Second
in
motion to
favor?
move 6 and 7. Sorry, thank you, Commissioner Berry.
We understood. Yes, sir. Thank you. 4-0. Appreciate that. Okay, that brings us to the county attorney's report.
There are 3 items on the county attorney's report. I can answer any questions you may have.
We do have 2 speakers on the second item. So, do we want to move do we want to have
Yeah,
You
motion
have
to move the balance.
all in favor? 4-0. Thank you. So for item number 2, Melissa Pino, and then Kevin Wage will be next.
Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Baldwinsville. This is a pretty big topic for only 2 citizens to be down here speaking to. And this is the number of percentage of the population, I don't know if you guys can see this, that the school board is really hoping that they're going to disenfranchise by scheduling this thing on the primary. No party affiliation in Escambia County is 18.92%. Minor parties are 3.53%. That's 22.5% of the people. There is no other reason to have this in the primary except that the Republican Party does not want it to happen when MPAs and independents are planning on heading to the primary. Now, it doesn't mean I'll be going. I mean, I can still go. I'm an MPA. Kev's an MPA. My husband's an MPA. A lot of people I know, I'll be making sure they go. But this is ridiculous. There's no reason to have this thing in the primary. I know you guys are going to do it. It's sad to me at a time when division is so bad and parties are at the heart of it, and that's why I'm an MPA. I hate parties. I absolutely detest platforms. And it's sad to me that such a blatant attempt to try to influence things to make it better for the Republicans. It's just sad because you guys should be wanting people that can work with both sides of the aisle. And this continued thing of just trying to hold us in a stronghold of Republicanism, how's that Republican supermajority working out in Tallahassee?
Kevin Wage, you're next.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Baldwin. I echo all of that. And yeah, it's one more time that the primary ends up looking like it's being used to leverage disenfranchisement. And I meet a lot of people who have children, and I ask them, what do they think about politics? And they often say, I got no time for that. I've got kids. I'm like, so you're going to vote for superintendent of the school board? And over and over again, they say they don't have time. Just putting this on the primary, it's like an initiative that should have more weight.
That concludes our speakers for this item.
I just want to make one comment on this because this is one of those things where it's an administrative pass-through for us from another elected body, which, you know, I'm not overly excited about this, but I do respect that body's being an elected body and voted for it. And I've told them that I would move forward with what they voted 3-2 on, and that's the only reason I'm going to honor that.
Second.
Confirming that was a motion, Commissioner Kohler?
Yeah, that's a
Okay, with a
motion.
second from Commissioner Berry. All in favor? That's 4-0. Thank you. That concludes the items on the agenda. Are there any announcements? No. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.